Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to look at a Zamasu and Goku Black deck based off of the old leader with a bunch of the new cards. I think this will be a really fun deck, and also I know that I'm not running the Zen-oh Unison card, I'm running this one instead. It will make sense, I promise, we're going to get to it. I'm not trying to be hipster about it either. I think this one's better for this deck, but let's jump on into it. So we've got this Goku Black and Zamasu. When this card attacks, look up to the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 1 blue or yellow Goku Black or Zamasu among them, add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this pretty much lets you look for half the cards in your deck. We have, I think, a lot of Zamasu and then a lot of Goku Blacks. Yes, 12 and 12, so 24, which should be ample enough for the entire game. I don't think you should ever whiff with this. Should be pretty good. And then it has the away condition of when your opponent has 3 or more energy, you may draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 of your energy, switch to active mode, then flip this card over. And then on the awakened side, when this card attacks, look at top 5 for Goku Black or Zamasu, blue or yellow. When this card attacks, the leader card gets minus 5k power for duration of the turn and active main once per turn. If your opponent has 8 or more energy, choose up to 4 cards from your opponent's life, place them at the bottom of their deck in any order. This is really the win condition for this deck, and the reason why I chose this leader. It also has this active main once per turn. For 1 energy, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, return it to its owner's hand. So pretty cool leader. It has the kind of the win condition built into it. You just have to get enough cards into your opponent's energy to win. And there are a couple ways to do that. The main way is with this Tragedy Overground. So permanent, this card can't be removed from your battle area by the skills of your opponent's battle cards. Permanent, when your opponent plays a battle card with any cost of 4 or more, it is placed in its owner's energy in rest mode instead. And auto, when this card is activated, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them in their owner's energy mode or energy in rest mode. So like this can just like set up the win for itself. And the really nice thing about this card too is that you can technically get it out on like turn 3 with this Fuse Zamasu Divine Immortal. Your opponent can't, your opponent would have to be like turboing out their stuff, but yeah, being able to have this card out and go into the Tragedy Overground just really makes your opponent kind of weird, especially since it's an active main battle. Well, actually, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So, maybe not. So we're going to talk about this guy, I guess. So it's indestructible dual attack, and it's equal to evolve for 4 specific blue on a blue Zamasu with energy cost of 5, and it has the active main or battle. Place this card in its owner's drop area, activate up to 1 Tragedy Overground from your hand, drop area, deck, or energy area, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So pretty much, since this is active main R battle, so and this is a 35k indestructible card, which is pretty difficult to get rid of. The really only way to get rid of it is to give it enough negative power that it just goes to 0 and dies. But it's pretty difficult to do and just involves putting a lot of resources on the field from our opponent. So I'm not super worried about this guy, and you can do 1 or 2 things. You can just have the Zamasu beat down your opponent slowly, and if you're ever worried about it like dying, you can always just use this active main ability to put it to your drop area, get Tragedy Overground, and immediately when it hits, it just puts all the cards ignoring barrier into your opponent's energy. So I think that's like a really great effect that people are kind of don't even realize yet, because this summoning Tragedy Overground is already great, but when you realize that it has like a spell speed 2, or like you can do this during active battle like on reaction on stuff, I think it's just going to be that much better. So the way you get that one out is with this Fuse Zamasu Advocate for Evil. Also indestructible, it's a free Union Protector for a blue Zamasu and blue Goku Black. And if you have 3 or more energy, you can choose battle cards in your energy when choosing cards to use with this card's Unison from your hand. Union from your hand. So you can just play this on turn with 3 energy pretty quickly. And I think there's a couple ways to do it. Like, even if like you don't... it's a 24k indestructible, and depending on which matchup you're playing against, this can probably stick on the board pretty easy too. Just once again, depending on what you're playing. But if you need to play this like really early and then start swinging on your opponent or something, that's a very viable thing in my opinion. So there's a thing. What else? So Goku Blacks and Zamasu. So we're going to talk about the Zamasu Cosmic Trader. This is probably the best one. So if your leader card is a blue Zamasu or Goku Black card, when this card is played from your hand, play the top card of your deck in your energy. Then at the end of your turn, if that card is you place in your energy with this card's skill is in your energy, place its owner's drop area. If the card you played in your energy with this skill isn't in your energy, play 1 card from your energy in your owner's drop area. So this guy just by itself can start like a chain of being able to say, okay, I can put 1 energy down for essentially free. It's temporary for the turn, and you're not really losing a resource for it. It's 1 energy for 1 energy, which is great for some of these effects that need you to have at certain energy levels, like the Zamasu here. And then additionally, there's also cards like Goku Black, Future Decimator. So if your leader card's a blue Zamasu Goku Black, place this card in your energy from your hand, and you can't place cards in your energy or play cards other than mono blue Zamasu Goku Black cards for the turn. At the end of the turn, if this card is in your energy, place it into Summoner's Drop. So this is like the same thing that is 0 energy, but you can just get the ramp for free. So if you need to go from this Fuse Zamasu into this other Fuse Zamasu, it's really easy to go. If you only have 3 energy, you can just put this in your energy, and then you have 4 for the turn, and then just tap 4 for it. So this can really help you get to your turn as well. And then we also have this Goku Black Rose Inviting the Darkness. This one's I think is pretty good. So it's for 3 energy. When you play this card and your leader card is Goku Black or Zamasu, add the top card of your deck to your energy. And then when you play this card and your leader card is Goku Black or Zamasu, at the end of your opponent's next turn, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. If that card is a battle card, place it in your opponent's energy in rest mode. Otherwise, draw 1 card and your opponent shuffles their deck. So being able to use this for ramping yourself, and then also this could be like a really potential end game way to get rid of your opponent's get your opponent up to 8 energy. If they're stalling out at 7, this could be potentially the way you get them to 8, which is nice. And it's just a solid card. It also has barrier, so if you need it for Union fusion later, this can be somewhat sticky of a card to get rid of. What else? We also have Goku Black Countdown to Destruction. So when you have 5 or more energy, you can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. When you play this card, if your leader card is Goku Black or Zamasu, draw 1, and you can't play for the duration of the turn. So if you have 3 energy and you need to get out this Fuse Zamasu and this other Fuse Zamasu, you can use this Goku Black, put in your energy, get to 4, assume you have a Zamasu out already, and then you can just use this countdown, play it for free, draw 1 card, and then just use it immediately for the Union Fusion. Alright, that's all of those. Okay, so we got 2 of each of the Gowasu. I'm not sure which one's better. Maybe a 2-2 split's better, or if you just like one more, you can. So this one, when you look at the top 3 cards, you choose up to 1 god among them, add to your hand and shuffle. So this can also get your super combo and copies of itself, but you only look at top 3. There's also Respectful Master Gowasu. When this card is played, look at top 7 for a blue Zamasu, add to your hand and shuffle your deck. And this could be any Zamasu, but it's top 7, but only Zamasu. Which are only 12 cards in our deck, so that could be trickier. But getting this out on turn 2, I think, is very important. So it could be worth it in that regard. And then what else do we have in this deck? So we also have 4 Dimension Magic, obviously, pretty self-explanatory, I think. And then 4 Sensu Bean. This can be really helpful for defense or offense. I'll talk about kind of what our best case turn 2 is. And then finally, Super Saiyan Gotenks Absolute Unison. So it's a dual attack blocker for blue. So for -2 you can draw 2 cards, or -3 you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them at the bottom of their owner's deck in any order. And it has this dual attack blocker effect. So I think this one's more utility. And if you look at the ramp that Zen-oh would offer, it's only temporary ramp, and it would kind of get in the way of this Goku Black and the Zamasu as well, which I think are just better ramp cards for this deck anyways. So I felt like these were better. But Gotenks can help us mid game if either one we're getting really aggro down. We can give we can get rid of 2 things, and then also have a blocker, and as well as also being able to swing once and then have blocker and get rid of 2 of their things. So I think that could be really handy. Since the trade off for this deck is that we're playing a lot of energy, but we're losing hand cost. So being able to draw 2 cards, I think, is very valuable as well. I know it's a 4 cost, but it's also a dual attack blocker that technically has 2 health when you play it. So I think it's worth it in that regard. And if we have this card in the field, we can have this Super Saiyan Trunks God Sealing technique. So it's a counterplay. You can't activate any other counterplay skills for the turn. You may discard this card from your hand. If you do, the battle card being played is returned to the owner's hand. If you don't play this card, and then permanent, if you have a blue Unison card with 2 or more markers in play, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So if you're needing to be a little bit more reactive and you're not seeing what you're finding, you can play the Super Saiyan Gotenks on turn 3 or 4, and then use its -2 to draw 2 cards. And then if they try to play anything, you can just play this Gotenks for free, and then you still have this out with blocker and dual attack. And if you have another one in your hand, you can pop and give it another token, and you can do -2 again next turn for free. It just helps draw a lot of cards and can be really defensive and everything. So I really like it as a card. And I think it could be good where we're ramping up so much energy. I think that's it. So the Dream 2 plan, turn 2 plan for this deck is we have 2 blue energy, obviously. We play Zamasu, get up to 3, and then we swing with our leader, use the Sensu Bean to untap 1, so now we have 3 energy open, and then we play this Goku Black, Inviting the darkness, which means we get to add a card from the top of our deck to our energy, so we have 4 energy open, and then at the end of the turn, we can, so we do that, and then we can use both of these cards to go into Fuse Zamasu, and then we get, we lose 1 of our energy, but we still have 3 up. The one we get from Super Saiyan Rose, Goku Black Inviting the Darkness, doesn't go away at the end of the turn, so we can just do that, and then we have this, and then we can just charge 1 more energy and then go into Fuse Zamasu on turn 3. Or if we don't have this and we want to play Go Tanks instead, we can. Pretty much we just get to go into our big bad boys and feel good about it. So that's like the dream play. I think this can be pretty consistent. I mean, Sensu Bean is probably the hardest card to find, but it's pretty easy in that regard, and I think it's fine. One thing we also didn't talk about is our Zen-oh Age of Space. So if your leader card is blue, your life is at 5 or less, and it's your opponent's turn. When this card is used, a combo, you may add 1 card in your hand, or add 1 card from your energy to your hand. If you do, place 1 card from your hand into your energy, and then also when this card is played, you draw 1. So worst case, I think we can play this card for 1 energy, and even though it's susceptible to being destroyed, we get the card draw, which I think can be more important in a lot of ways. And then also, it's a god card, and then also you can put cards back into our hand. The more I think about this card, I don't think it super deserves to be in this deck, but it's a cool combo. If you use Plan for Destruction, and then after you use Plan for Destruction, you super combo with Zen-oh, you add Plan for Destruction back to your hand, and you untap 1 energy, and then you can just play it again for another ramp. I think that's cool. Maybe it doesn't deserve to be in this deck, but it's a neat kind of thing, and I really liked it. If you don't want to do that, I think either North Kai, especially since North Kai as a god could be viable, or Great Saiyaman, which is probably going to be active for draw 1 more or faster than North Kai in a lot of ways. So I think those are both good cards. Some cards I was really thinking about. The one thing I was really worried about was card draw, honestly. So thoughts for that. Dirty Burst is a pretty good card. You have to pay 2 energy to draw 1 with it, but if you do pay the 2 energy, you get the bonus of your opponent can't attack with battle cards with energy cost 7 more for the turn. In worst case, it's just a negate, so you can, I think we are only running 4 negates, so having 1 more I think would be fine. There's also Ultra Instinct Goku's Kamehameha. We're running all blue, so I almost want to put this in directly for Plan for Destruction, since you're able to, if it's your turn, you draw 1 card, which is 1 card, 1 energy, 1 draw is fine, especially if you're getting the plus 15k. And also, if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to 1 of your blue energy switches to active mode. So it's either a free 15k combo, as long as you have 1 energy open, or it's a 15k draw on swing. The only thing about that is I don't think we're going to be too aggressive on the front side with it, but I think this is definitely something to consider. Final Hope Slash, we have to have a blue Unison card in play, so it's not until turn 3 or 4 at the earliest, but we can play it for free if we do that, and then we can switch up to 1 of your mono blue energy to active mode, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power or less, ignore a barrier, return to their hand. So this is a good card, and it's also not counter play. We don't have, the only counterplay card we have is the Super Saiyan Trunks God Sealing technique. So I mean, we can only play 1 of these per turn, but saying it's a free way to just stop your opponent from playing something, I think this card is super broken. We also have God Slicing Black Kamehameha. So we have to have a blue Unison card in play, so it's not too late. But if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, it is placed at the bottom of his owner's deck instead. And if all our energy is mono blue, so we have to have all mono blue energy, and we have to have a Unison card out. But if we can discard 2 cards for it. So technically we're only going -1, but for 0 energy and -2 other cards in hand, we're able to stop something with 4 or less from being played. And I mean, we get 1 cycle, so I think that's fine. Barrier of Hope, this is just a draw 2, which is nice, could be helpful late game, and also choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignore a barrier, return it to the owner's hand, then draw 2, and also it's always a free combo if you need that. Bulma's Advice, probably not great, but it's draw 1, then choose up to 1 of your leader cards, it gets plus 5k power until the end of your opponent's next turn, so that could be helpful on the defense. And then Ultra Instinct Son Goku, this is always a good card, we don't need to talk about it that much, but that's there for you as well. and also just more of this card. Like, I think you can maybe even run 3 of the Super Saiyan Trunks God Sealing technique. It's that good. But that's pretty much the deck. The idea is just to get Tragedy Overground pretty early and pretty much say, hey, you can't play the rest of the game if you're playing big bad boys. It really is one or two things. Either they're playing a lot of small guys that would get under the Tragedy Overground, but then you'd play it, and then you just put all the cards through their energy, and then you just win. Or you're just able to whittle them down. They can't play the cards, they're winning cards from it with Tragedy Overground out, and just a double strike from, dual attack from Fuse Zamasu and Super Saiyan Go Tanks, and just a bunch of other just pressure you can put onto them slowly over the game can be really good. Especially like being able to use one energy from just a leader side to get rid of something is a fantastic card effect. So yeah, I think that's really it. Let me know what you guys think about this deck. I think it's pretty good, and it has some potential to really just kind of disrupt what's going on. If you have any suggestions or anything I got wrong with it, please let me know, and I think that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.